Will Jerome Powell and the Fed's latest moves to combat inflation save the economy, or just push us all further into financial chaos? Today we have an epic showdown between Jerome Powell and the Fed against their former creation and now arch nemesis, inflation. In the red corner we have Jerome Powell, armed with his go-to move, the print and yeet, where he turns his money printers on full blast, followed by him yeeting interest rates into outer space. And in the blue corner, we have the ugly, the awful monstrosity of inflation, weighing in at a reported 3.5% last month and growing faster than my credit card debt. Now, if you've been living under a rock, let me catch you up real quick on why Powell is still battling the inflation monster that he created 4 years ago. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe if you like finances that aren't boring. Back in early 2020, the economy was cruising along when the vid hit like an unexpected pie to the face. And suddenly, businesses shut down and toilet paper became the new currency. The government decided the best thing to do was fire up those money cannons and print about 80% of all the dollars currently in existence in about a year. Fast forward to today, and we're still left with a mixed bag of high interest rates, high inflation, and more surprises than a blind date with someone who shows up in a clown costume. And now that you're all caught up, the wizard-in-chief himself had this to say at his latest public meeting.
The recent data have clearly not given us greater confidence and instead indicate that it's likely to take longer than expected to achieve that confidence.
Not to mention, Jerome also said this about inflation.
Significant increases, and they'll disappear over the following months, and they'll be transitory. They carry no implication for the rate of inflation in later periods.
What does transitory mean? A brief duration or temporary? What does this guy even think that brief means? But then after he realized what he said was really dumb, he decided to try to retire the word.
So I think the word transitory has different meanings to different people. To many, it carries a sense of short-lived. I think it's probably a good time to retire that word and try to explain more clearly what we mean.
Maybe what we should retire is you, Jerome. So basically, Powell is saying that all the tactics they've been using for 4 years still hasn't worked, and they're gonna leave interest rates higher for longer. But what does that mean for us? Well, if you're planning to buy a house or a new car, the Fed's message is pretty clear. Keep dreaming. Interest rates are getting higher than when Hunter Biden visits his dad at the White House, and affordability, it's about as real as the moon landing. Rates remaining higher means your loans cost more, your credit cards are on fire, and your mortgage might just need its own mortgage. Is your budget feeling squeezed? Well, you're not alone. Welcome to the high rate party, where the entry fee is your financial peace of mind. This is a graph of outstanding credit card balances from 1999 to the end of 2023. Now, of course, we've had an insane amount of inflation, which should inflate this graph. But still, the last 2 times that we had big peaks in credit card debt, it landed us right in the middle of a fun recession, back in 2008 and of course in 2020. Now, higher rates can cool inflation, but also it can cool everything else down too, like your ability to keep your job, business's ability to grow, and the economy's ability to be, well, an economy. What's worse, if the job market does tank, then the Fed might actually consider cutting rates. So, if you get laid off, just remember, you're doing your part to help the economy. Who knew unemployment could be so patriotic? But maybe this is exactly what we need. At least that's what Peter Schiff thinks needs to happen to prevent the collapse of the US dollar.
So there's always political pressure on the government, the Fed, to try to fight a recession when the recession is the cure. But what they do is they keep creating more inflation, and it's kicking the can down the road, postponing the inevitable a pain. But every time they do that, they make the underlying problem worse. We are now at the final crossroads.
So, is the Fed kicking the inevitable can of recession down the road and actually making things worse by trying to keep us out of a recession? Well, by judging the Fed's track record, it ain't looking so good for them. Is there a possibility that the White House is trying to push a recession off until the election in November at the expense of its own people? Hey, I'm just asking the questions here. Do you think Powell's high interest rate experiment is working, or do you think that we should just rip off the Band-Aid and let a recession heal the economy? Smash that subscribe button like your alarm clock on a Monday morning, and as always, stay invested, my friends.